Hey everybody, Heather here. So today we're going to be coloring our Switchin' It Up kit for the month. And Switchin' It Up kit is where I use my Copic markers and I throw in 3 or 4 new Shinha markers. So if you want to start collecting some more colors to add to your color palette, you can do that without breaking the bank. And this month we're going to use this cute Whimsy Stamps image called Skippydee by Elizabeth Bell. Isn't she cute? And I've already stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink. And if you want to see if this kit is available, I put a link to the store down in the description box. And you just type in Skippydee into the little search bar at the top of the store. And if it's available, it will pop up. If not, check out the other kits while you're there. So let's color. Alright, so let's start by coloring our skin, and for that I'm going to use E21, E00, E000, and for the cheeks I'm going to use R20 and R30. This is just my go-to skin tone. If you want to try a different one, there's a whole bunch listed on the store blog under Copic skin tones on the sidebar under labels. So you can try any of those you want. So I'm going to start with E21, and I always add my shadows first, so I'm going to go right underneath of her little sleeve right here. And then I'm going to get this cute little elbow thing she's got right there. And then let's go ahead and go clear up where this arm is touching this arm. And then we're going to say the sun's going to be shining on her from over this way. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit underneath of her thumb right here. And I'm going to do the bottom of this hand. And she's also got a couple of fingers that are showing underneath here holding the little handles on her jump rope, so I'm going to go ahead and get that. But let's go down the back of this arm just a tad. And I think I'll pull this one up here onto her wrist. Okay, and then I'm going to get E00, and I'm going to fill in this back arm because there's not very much space left. So I'm going to take my E00, I'm going to touch it down on the E21 I already laid down, and I'm going to flick out into my white space. And here I've already almost covered up her thumb, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And then let's just brush right over that E21 and pull out here into our white. Soften that line. And I'm going to do just a little bit on the front of this one, just so it gives it a little bit of shadow there. And then I'm going to take E000 and I'm just going to fill this one in. So I'm touching down on my E00 that I just laid down, and I'm brushing the E000 out into my white. Just soften your line up. And I'm going to need to refill this pin pretty soon because it's starting to turn, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's starting to turn like a light white color here at the end. That means I need to refill it. Okay, so then I'm going to go back with my E21 and I'm going to go up here and we're going to do her face. So let's do the back of our neck. Let's make sure to get a little bit inside of her ear there. And then underneath of her chin, there's not very much space, so let's do a little dab there. And then up here underneath where her little bangs are kind of on her face. And I'm just going to do a very tiny line on the front of this little hair that she's got there. And then let's do a little bit down here on her chin, because it's going to be a little bit darker down there, up here to the bottom of her little lip. Okay. Then let's grab E00. And I'm going to do her neck. So I'm going to go ahead and take my E00, and I'm going to brush all of her neck right here and fill that all the way in. And let's get most of her ear. I'll leave a little dab there at the top for my E000. Into her face. Let's come right away from her hairline here. And brush down from this hairline. I'm going to come over here and fill into her cheek. Maybe dab her lip just a little bit right there. Then I'm going to take E000 and I'm going to fill that in. Okay, then I'm going to give her some cheek color, so I'm going to grab my R20. I'm just going to go right underneath of her eye here, and I'm just going to give it a circle. Then I'm going to take E30, and I'm going to touch down on the R20, and I'm going to feather out just a little bit. I don't want to make it too big. And then I'm going to go back with my E00, and I'm going to brush right out here and right over the top of that little cheek just to soften it a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my E000, and I'm just going to lightly go over her whole face just so I don't have any lines there. I'm just going to brush right back towards her neck. Oh, and I better not forget her little ear right here. Alright, so now let's go do her hair, and for that I'm going to use E19, 17, 15, and 13, and I'm going to start with my E19. We're going to add some shadows. So I'm going to go down here on this little ponytail where it comes out from underneath of her little bow there, and I'm going to add a little bit at the top. And then each one where it kind of dips back in where it looks like the braid is going underneath the other braid, I'm going to give it a little swipe. And a little bit down here where the little ponytail sucks it in again. And then same for the other side. I'm going to get right next to where the little wrapper is for her ponytail. And then it looks like it kind of dips in a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of my dark color in there just for a little bit of a shadow. And you don't need very much. Okay, and I'm going to do all the braids first, and then I'll go do the top. And then I'm going to grab E17. And I just want to add a little bit of color on top of that last color, just to soften my line just a tad. Because it's a pretty small area, so you're not going to have very much room for adding a bunch of colors, so I'm just using a little bitty bit. And then I'm going to grab E15. On this back one, I've filled in most of the back part of her braid on this side, just because remember the sun's coming from her face side. So I wanted to leave a little bit more bright colors out here towards the front and fill in this back more. I'm going to grab E13 to fill that in. And then we'll go up here and we'll do the top of her hair. So for that, we're going to again start with E19. And I'm going to keep it more sunny up here at the top of her bangs because the sun's going to be shining like this. So I'm going to leave most of the top of her head light. But let's do with our E19 right down here where her little ponytail has a little bit coming out. And I'm going to carefully go behind her ear. And right in between her ears just a little bit. And then this little piece of hair here is like tucked, this piece tucks under over the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit right there where it's tucking underneath. And then we want to go back here and go around this little bow. Where it's coming away from her bow, it's going to be shadowed. So I'm going to lightly go next to it so I don't have to worry about getting it on there. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to flick away just a little bit. That way I don't have to get quite so close. And I'm going to bring this out further because I'm going to darken it back here on the back. Oh, and I better not forget this little piece of bang she's got right here. Let's give that a little dab. Okay, and then I'm going to grab E17. I'm going to fill in this little piece down here underneath of her neck. And this little section underneath of her ear. Because it's a very tiny spot. And then we'll add a little bit of color to that little spot there. And we want to add a little bit of color to this one. And I kind of use the line that stopped there. And then I'll add the next color in this little whoop-de-doo. And then the next color in that color. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back here because I want it to be dark darker back here, and I'm going to fill in these first 3 sections of her hair. And then I'm just going to brush away and start bringing this line up on the next sections. Like that. And then I'm going to grab E15. And like I said, for this little whoop-de-doo, I'm going to fill in this next section. And then we'll add a little bit to our little braid right here. And then over here, I'm going to fill in these next 2 sections. I think I'll make it the next, no, I'm not going to go all the way to the top of that one. Okay, and then we're going to flick up on the rest of this, like that. And then I'm going to grab my E13 to fill in, so I'm going to get the end of this little curly Q over here. And then we want to fill in that little section right there. And then for this section, I'm just going to brush down because I don't want to go outside of the lines. Makes it a little bit easier for me. Yeah, fill in that section. Brush over my line one more time there. Okay, and then after I've colored her hair, I go back and I'm going to add some streaks. So I've grabbed my E19 again. And I'm just going to go in, and I keep my pen more straight up and down. And I just very lightly add some lines coming away and in the direction her hair looks like it's growing. So you got to follow the artist's lines she's already provided for you. You wouldn't want to be painting lines on going sideways. That would look really, really silly. Let's just add a few little dark streaks like that. And I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the next one, so E17. I'm just going to add a few of those. And I always go way past where I already colored the color because I'm just adding some lines in. And you could go ahead and go down all the way if you wanted to all the colors and add your streaks in. I just like to have the little lines in there. It gives it a little more texture. So next, let's go down here and do her pants. And I'm kind of skipping around because I would normally do her shirt next, but because those are the different markers, I'm trying to do all the Copic colors first, and then I'll finish it up with the ShinHa markers so they're all separate so you'll know. So we're going to go down here, we're going to do her pants, and for that I'm going to use E43 and 42. And I'm going to start with my 43, and I'm going to just fill in this little tiny section of pants that's showing right here at the top. And then we're going to come down the seam of these pants, clear down to the bottom. And she's also got a little wrinkle right here in these pants, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of my 43 on that little wrinkle. Let me turn my girl a little bit more here. And then because I didn't want to touch the other side of her pants, which I guess it wouldn't really matter because I put the shadow on the back seam, but I'm just going to go along like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab 42 and I'm going to fill that in. So you want to brush right over that little line. And I kind of do it in sections because this side is way out here. And so I still have a line, so I'm going to go ahead and go right over that again. And then just because I don't want to go outside of the lines, I'm going to go ahead and brush back towards my color. Let's go up here. Soften this little wrinkle right there a little bit too. Okay, and then I'm going to grab 43 again, and because the sun is coming out from out this way, I'm going to go ahead and put my shadows on the back. Let me turn my girl a little bit more here. Okay, so I'm going to bring my shadow up towards this little line she's already got on my pen, or on her pants. So I'm just going to flick, and when I'm flicking, it gets lighter as I get out here towards the end. Okay, like that, and I want to go ahead and fill in this little crease she's got right here. And then I'm going to grab 42, and we're just going to flick right over that edge and soften that color. And I'm going to go back up so I can soften it just a little bit more. Go down here. Oops, colored that dot. We'll fix that in a minute. And we're just going to work our way out here towards the edge. Okay, and then down here again, so I don't want to go outside the line, so I'm going to go ahead and brush from the outside of the jeans towards the inside, just so I don't accidentally brush color out there, which I would do. And I'll lightly brush over that little line that I made the first time. Like that. And then I went ahead and I colored this little dot on accident. So I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm just going to set it down, not touching the dot, and then push my ink back out towards the pants. Because I'm going to color those blue-green, a light blue color, so you're going to be able to see that brown. So next, let's go do her shoes, and for that I'm going to use W8, 6, 4, 1, and 00. I'm going to start with my W8, and I'm just going to add a little bit on the back side of this shoe, and a little bit on this front side where it kind of dips down underneath of her pants. And then for this side, we're going to do right underneath of her cuff, being careful not to get it onto that little heart right there. And then I'm just going to dab a little bit just on this side. And then I'm going to grab W6. I'm going to brush right on top of our 8 and pull some of that line so we soften it up. Same for this side. I'm actually going to go around the bottom of that heart and leave just a little bit for my last color right there in the middle. And then we'll do W4. And we'll fill in this little section right here. I think I'll give it just a little bit of color right here in the middle of her shoe, and then we'll say the other part is the laces. Okay, and then for the sole, I use W1 and W0. So I'm going to take my W1 and let's fill in this little section back here. And let's bring this around to the front a little bit. Same for this one, we're going to fill in this bottom section. And then a little bit on this side. And then we're going to fill it in with our W00. And if you wanted to, you could also go up here and brush right over the top of her shoestrings if you want to give those a little dab of color. So next, let's jump over here and do the handles for her little jump rope right here. And for that, I'm going to use R29, 27, and 24. I'm going to start with R29, and I'm going to do just along the bottom of each of the handles. And up next to where her hand is touching it. And we're going to grab R27. We're going to brush just a little bit, but we're going to leave a little bit of white for our lightest color on the top of the handle. Same for this one. And then R24. I'm going to try to be really careful so I don't get outside the lines there. And then I'm going to take my W8. And I'm just going to dab the ends of these little, there's a couple little circle things there at the end. Okay, so let's go add some purple, and for that we're going to use V25, V22, and V20. And let's start down here on our little tennis shoe for this little heart. So I'm going to start with a V25. I'm going to add a little dab right underneath of her cuff and onto the bottom. And then for this little patch, I'm going to fill in this first patch and then go right along the bottom. I'm going to grab V22, add a little bit on top, and I'm going to leave a little bit of space for my lightest color right at the top of that heart. And I'll brush right along this line so we're filled in the second little stripe on that patch. And then our 20 to fill that in. Okay, and then we'll move up here to our shirt. And so I colored these little flowers, so I'm going to go ahead and add my V25 first. So I'm going to go right next to where her arm is touching and around the little center of the flower. And then for each of these out here, I'm just going to go around the center. And then this one will get right next to her shirt, where it's in the shadow, and go around the outside there. And then she's got a couple of little flowers up here, so let's go ahead and add a little bit on that. I'm actually, that one's pretty small, I'm just going to fill that one in. Same for this one up here. Just fill in that little flower. Like that. And then she's got this little patch of ribbon right here that I'm going to go ahead and add some 25 to. And then I'm going to color this little lace on her sleeve. Let's go up here, add a little bit like that. Then I'm going to grab my 22. I'm going to add some to her flowers. Fill that one all the way in. That's pretty close. And then this one I'm just going to go around my circle and extend it, but leave a little bit of room for my lightest color. That one was too small, so I filled it in. And then we'll brush a little bit of this, but leave a little patch of white out there for our lightest. And let's add some more to this lace. And then we're going to go with our V20. We're going to fill all these flowers in. Fill in this ribbon and this lace on her shirt. And then for the center of the flowers, I used Y21. And I just went in and filled those in. And I also did that, use this color on these little dots that she's got there. So I just went ahead and filled those in. Same for the little dots on this ribbon. And let's go ahead and do these little dots on this little lace. And let's get these buttons right here. So next, let's go down here and work on the ground. And for that, I'm going to use B93, 91, W3, 1, and 00. And I'm going to start with my B93 first. And to me, this gives it kind of a concrete look, like she's maybe outside on the sidewalk. So I'm going to go just up here, and I'm going to use the edge of her cuff of her pants as my guideline. So I'm going to add my 93, B93. I go a little bit away from her shoe. And we're going to go down here, and I'm going to come out a little bit more. And brush out this way. Trying to be careful not to get blue on her clothes. And I'm going to bring it up till it's about halfway up her little shoe there. Kind of where the shoe, there's a little space there where the sole kind of curves back in, so I stopped right there. Then I'm going to grab B91 next, and we want to extend this out. And brush right over that line. We got to soften that up. And let's bring this out a little bit underneath of her little jump rope right here. Like that. Okay, then I'm going to go with W3. I'm going to put W3 down where I put my B93. So I'm just going to go right next to her shoe, and we're going to gray that up. And it's okay if you go a little bit past where you put it the last time. I'm going to go with W1, and this is where you're going to put down where you put your B91. So I'm brushing over the edge of my W3 and pulling out here into my my B91. And then I'm going to finish off with my W00. I'm going to go right over all of those colors and pull my color past the rest. So I'm onto the white. And by now my colors come to the back of this shoe. And just brush over all that color. It gives her something nice to stand on. So now let's outline our image, and for that I'm going to use C0. And outline it, I just start down here where the ground stopped, and I'm just going to take my C0 and go all the way around my girl. Up here around her face, around this little curlicue of her hair. And we're going to go right around top of her head, around her ribbon. I'm going to go down this side. Make sure to get in between the ribbons or her ponytails there. Fill that little space all the way in. And then I'm going to be super careful around this red. See, I touched it and I've got it out here now. Not good. I wipe my brush off. It never fails. You get red, I get it everywhere. I should have done the outlining before I did that. But that's okay. We're going to live with it. Just going to brush that a little bit more towards the red there. There. That kind of cleaned that up a little bit. Okay, so all the coloring I did so far, I did with Copic markers. Now I'm going to switch to my Shinha markers, and for that I'm going to use B68, BG179, and BG178. And I'm going to start with my B68, and we're going to start down here on the dots on these little pans. So I just want to add a little bit of shadow, so I'm going to add a shadow down here at the bottom. And let's do the bottom of this one. And this one again in the little crease there. And then let's go on this side of these. And a little bit on that one. And then I'm going to grab BG179. And we're just going to brush right on the edge. And I'm still getting used to the color choices you have with these. It takes, you got to kind of jump around sometimes. They aren't right in order. But I love that one was the B68 and then I picked BG79 to go next to it, and they go good together. And then I'm going to grab BG178 to fill that in. Brush right. And if you wanted these to be darker, you would just go back over them starting with the B68. Okay, that's pretty good for those dots. So let's move up here and do these cute little hair bows. So for that I'm going to use my B68 first, and I'm going to color in the little knot and give each of these little bows a little dab. And then I'm going to grab BG79 to fill this one in because there's not much space left. Actually, I think I'll just do that for this one too. It's kind of a dinky bow. And then I'm going to go back to my B68 and let's go up here and do this bow. So let's go right next to where it's tucked in on the back here. And let's get it where it ties around her little ponytail. And where it's knotted there. And let's give around each side of that knot a little dab. And also, it's kind of inside of her bow here, so let's get a little bit of color started on the inside of the bow. Like that. And then BG179. So we're going to brush right over the edge. Add a little bit of color, but leave a little bit of space for our last color. Same for down here. Just want to add a little bit of color. Yeah, let's brush right over the top of that stuff. We'll leave the top of that bow nice and light for our BG178. And let's do the same thing over here, but I'm going to go around the back of this one so only the tippy tip of this one is left open. Okay, and then I'm going to grab BG 178 to fill it in. So brush right along the edge there. And fill in the middle of our bow. And again, if you'd like that to be darker, you just go over it a second time. So let's move on to our shirt. For that, again, I'm going to start with B68. And let's start up here at the collar. So I'm going to go right next to where all these flowers touch that collar. And she's got a little section right over here. I'm going to color that in. And then for her sleeve, I'm going to do the back of this sleeve. That's her back arm. And then I'm going to go down the back of this sleeve. And then I'm going to do each of these cute little seam she's got there, and I want to do underneath of this little lace she's got there, and let's do right where this seam is touching her shirt. And then for the bottom of her little shirt, let's go right up the inside where her arm is touching it, underneath this ribbon. And along that, and let's also do right here because there's a little seam right here, and I want to do underneath where it's showing underneath right there. And then I'm going to grab BG 179 and we're going to add some color. And here comes Dikia. She's come to tell me that Natalie has woken up from her nap and I should not be chatting on the video anymore. And then let's do this sleeve, and I'm just brushing right over the edge of my last color, which was B68. And we're going to do right on this one, and we want to soften this line, and I'm going to bring this color out here a little bit more. We don't want to be clear back here in the back, so let's go clear over on the bottom, and we're going to do in between these little flowers, and let's get this ruffle right here. And leave a little bit of white there for that. And then we're going to finish it off with BG 178. I just brush right over all those colors. Add this one right on top. And I'm going to do this lace on her sleeve with that one too. And brush down here. And a little bit maybe down here. Okay, just like that. And again, if you would like to be darker, I would just go over it a second time. So here is the finished card, Skippydee. Go ahead over to the store and grab you a kit and come color with me. I hope you had fun coloring today. If you have a question, just leave me a comment below. If not, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye. And here's the 3 video helpers. Oh, Natalie's tired of doing the video.